There are tons of really cool and interesting guitar layers heard into the Hellfire, and it can be a challenge to create enough space for all of them to fit in. In this clip, Josh explains his engineering decisions when crafting these tones, as well as how he crafts space in the mix so they work well together. Check it out and enjoy.
Same principle with these leads. It gives the riffs and the main focus guitars something a little extra about it that you don't necessarily taste, but you feel it once everything kicks in. So what has changed here? We get a little bit less subtle with our automation, I see, with none. So Adam's taking this progression and just making it more interesting as it develops, right? Because this is part of the intro. And it builds there a little bit, and I just kind of automated a little bit too much. But once it kicks into the verse, it's just full on. And you can hear it just kind of pop in a little bit louder once it kicks into that verse. And then, so we have that layer going on, and then we have, what is this? Like another octave of it, right? It just adds movement, momentum. It's very cool. Yeah, it's a nice, so black metal. I love it. And we got this. Okay, so we got that as well.
Riff right there.
There's like 20 different riffs happening all at the same time.
Yeah,
that's the intensity of it, right? How do you create clarity in there when you're playing every single note in the damn scale? Well, you have to make some concessions, and you have to. What is the sum of the parts? Like, I can't taste the salt in the cookie. Yeah, you're not supposed to. Don't worry about it. Oh, so then I should take it out? No, because then it's gonna taste really like sweet in a way that you don't like. Oh, what is this nastiness? Fortin rhythms? What the heck am I doing here? Okay, so when it kicks in, I wanted to... Oh, listen how cruddy that sounds. Isn't that funny? What is this plugin even? This is interesting. What is this plugin? This is, some kind of Reaper EQ thing? Oh, I think I was trying this thing out. It looks like some kind of like Pro MB knockoff, right? That's funny. I don't know how much that's actually doing. Probably nothing. Okay. Anyhow, I'm sending this stuff into Fortin to just add some crud, a cruddy layer to the rhythms, just to make it sound nasty. It's just some top end. Like, you can do that for clarity, and it just gives it this, I don't know, just nastiness to that riff, for example. Like, that sounds fine. I mean, some people would like that better, right? It just kind of, let's just hear it in context. See how it sounds smooth without that, right? And it just adds some crust, some of that black metal, that old school black metal stuff. You know what I'm talking about, Eyal. It just adds that cruddy. There's a harshness to it, right? But that's cool. That's cool. It's heavy music. It's not supposed to sound entirely pleasant. That is an oxymoron that a lot of people give themselves over to, that I want this to sound super heavy. And then what are you doing with your engineering decisions? Making this thing as clean, as sterile as possible? Yeah, why doesn't it sound heavy anymore? Yeah, like it just tames it, and it feels like it's just clean. So there are certain things to just kind of dirty it up and make it a little bit nasty sounding. And that, again, that's the moral of the story, or the kind of the story of the song and the production and the mixing and all that stuff. So we have that. How many different damn guitars we got going on here, buddy? We got some leads, and we were stacking like crazy. So we have that crud layer, and then we heard this, right? What is this, the ambience? Yeah, that was that ambient part. More leads. These are these leads. So, okay, so then all these go into a bus called 6 strings. Okay, so which is essentially everything besides the bass. And just some general EQ to get rid of some of that low end. Looks like I was using some Soothe on it. There was just some build up here. Anytime you're stacking 25,000 guitars, things will just start building up in some areas. So I was like, I'm going to throw this on. Not that I hate what's going on over here, but when you stack a million different things on top of it, it starts getting a little bit much. And I think this EQ is simply just a low pass. Yeah. That's just a low pass automation EQ. Looks like I don't even use it in the song. I think I probably used it in some of the other songs in the EP, but not on this one. Okay, so we talked about Kemper. I think it was a 6505. I think it's a 6505 I profiled years ago from like Jason from 2x4, Frost Coffin. I did like an EP with him. Was it 2014? And he's got great gear. He's got a great ear for dialing in his gear. And I profiled his 6505 Mesa combo, and we did a ton of different profiles and loved it. And it just sounds to me the closest to an actual amp of any profile I've ever heard in my life. So I ended up using a lot of things. I'm pretty sure we ended up using it on this. And that's the running gag with a lot of bands that are recorded. It's like, hey, Jason, I love the tone that we used on our record. So and there's a lot of things I'll do. I won't just use it the straight up tone. We'll do a lot of dialing in, depending on the tuning that we're doing, depending on the guitar we're using and the play style and all this other stuff. We'll tweak just like we would an actual 6505. All the settings will get, goofed around with. I spend a lot of time with the guitars, just kind of, what do you want to hear? Again, go into it like this is the final guitar tone. What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of? And we'll listen to it on the monitors. I'll put a wedge monitor on the floor. We'll listen to it on headphones, whatever, just to find a sound that the guitarist really likes a lot. And I'll steer it to some degree because I'll be like, remember, this is in the context of a mix. So let's keep that in mind too. But I don't want to tame it too much from what the guitarist wants, because at the end of the day, that to me is the most important thing, is to find a tone that's just like cool and like interesting. But a lot of times that falls back on like 6505 sounds, that high gain. It's just kind of classic, and it's not so much about the tone itself, but what you're kind of playing with and who's playing the guitar. So we went over a little bit of how recording in split stereo, right? Splitting up the DI and effects, and just using a stereo field manipulator. So what exactly is going on? Let's go to, because leads I won't do too much with. I'll probably apply similar EQs if I find there's something just offensive about the EQ of it all. So let's go to the rhythms. That's usually where I spend the most time doing some EQs. Let's see. Let's start at the top here. There's not too much going on. Just an overall boosting of this top end. Okay. Using this Pro MB to kind of, really it's just a multi-band compression, right? You're just the same thing that we talked about on the snare. Once this low end starts building up, get rid of some of that crap so it's not encroaching on these other elements. And you see, it's just like you do a bit of a scoop like this, and it's like, okay, cool. And then after you start doing some of this compensation here, you're like, oh, I'm missing some of this body in the middle. So let me just do that. Okay, and now you got in a basic spot where this soothe is doing some fine tooth. Very, very fine. barely noticeable, really, but just enough to get rid of a little bit extra junk that builds up over there. So again, with this stuff, it's like, it's not like perfectly played in terms of edited, you know, I mean, it's edited to some degree here, right? Oh, that's the this part. Yeah, these are unedited. It's just a straight take in these chunks. And yeah, keep it a little bit looser feeling. It doesn't need to be super tight. Now, once we get into like these more riffy sections, then we'll kind of break it out like we do with the drums into smaller sections just to get it really tight. Yeah, just nasty chugging, right? What else we got here? This? Just more layers. We were just going bonkers with the layers on this EP. Okay, so going this little nasty section, it's kind of like a little breakdown pre, right? So we're going from this verse here. Let's just hear a little bit of this. And you see how that just cuts off. It's like, I don't want any tail. I don't want anything. I'm over it. I'm over all the prettiness of this verse. I'm going to get straight into the nasty. I don't want any tail. I don't want any reminder of where we were. I just want to get straight to this dump. It's just like a sharp turn, right? As opposed to gradual. It's an extreme cranking the wheel to the left, you know, flying into the ditch kind of move. And with this stuff, yeah, it makes sense for this particular part to do that. Just cut off everything, just volume automate the entire lead bus to just kill it.